Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine451 here, and welcome to another episode of Fate Index, the show where I grab a servant from the greater parts of the Fate franchise and I discuss it here. I chose a caster to go off of what I did last week, 2 weeks ago technically, which was a writer, and I said I was going to do a caster. And the caster that I chose is Anastasia, specifically Anastasia Nikolovia Romanova, the youngest daughter of Tsar Nikolai II, who is the last Tsar of the Russian Empire. She was supposed to be... there was this whole legend connected to her where she was supposed to be alive in the modern world, but she technically did die with her family. But there's that mystery of did Anastasia survive? Now, what's very interesting, she was introduced in the second arc of the Grand Order storyline, Cosmos and the Lost Belt, under the first Lost Belt, when she was summoned as a caster class by the the Cryptor, which is an enemy master that Cosmos and the Lost Belt focuses on for its individual, singularities or Lost Belts. Kadok Zemlupus, who is her master, which I will get into him in another video here in a moment. So, what can we say about Anastasia? Well, she's fundamentally naive and innocent, but has a misanthropic disposition. She speaks in a dispassionate tone right after being summoned. And she also has a familiar with her named V, which isn't really connected to her. V itself is according to Fate lore, is a familiar in possession by the Russian Empire. It has mystic eyes that are the mystic eyes of clairvoyance, which I will get into when I talk about her skills. But V itself is a creation. It's a fictional monster that was written by the Russian literary master Gogol. However, it is connected to several folktales in Slavic culture, and it can be surmised that it's modeled after these Slavic creatures. But more on Anastasia herself. She can also have a mischievous side to her, but she does not have faith in her master. Anastasia herself, because I didn't go into many details of what the servant looks like, other than the thumbnail that I choose. Anastasia herself is a beautiful girl with long white hair and a fringe covering her icy blue eyes. She wears an ornate white gown and a white fur cape with gold designs and blue lining on it. She is seen caressing a doll. And her stat parameters are... Her strength is at E, her endurance is at E, agility at C, mana at A, luck at D, and noble phantasm at C. Her class skills are territory creation EX, and contract with Samovilis is at A. Now, since she has a unique class skill, that leaves me to describe what this particular class skill is. And since she is a Grand Order servant, we might have some interesting gameplay mechanics that will lead into this. But maybe or maybe not, once I actually get the information here. But her personal skills are the Mystic Eyes of Clairvoyance, where, since there are different types of Mystic Eyes within Type Moon, the Mystic Eyes of Clairvoyance, well, they're kind of self-explanatory. They're connected to V, her familiar, and these mystic eyes can expose all secrets, discover weak points in fortresses, and also diet enemies in blood. However, it is impossible to either see or control. With V, it's impossible or even see him. It's impossible to either see or control him without the necessary talent. But the only interesting about that is that on the brink of death, Anastasia was able to obtain the qualifications to make a contract with V. And what's interesting in particular about her personality is that little is known of Anastasia's little is shown of Anastasia's true personality. She only projects this cold disposition, but that's enough of this side tangent. Let's go back to her personal skills, which is glacial charisma and then Shivzik. Sorry, I cannot speak Russian words for the life of me. I might butcher these, so for any Russian speakers, I apologize vehemently. But those are her personal skills. Now let's get into her noble phantasms. We have VVV. It is VVV, galloping stare of all-seeing ghastly eyeballs. Is the full release of V's mystic eyes, the eyeballs that see through everything, distort even the principle of causality, and create a weak point. And with this noble phantasm, it is a spiritual noble phantasm that basically shows her, and its rank is at EX. It basically shows her familiar V unleashing the full extent of his mystic eyes, like I mentioned. And it also attacks the opponent with just a barrage of glacial attacks, as well as beating it senseless with his shadowy hands. Terrifying. Ultimately terrifying. Now let's go into her other noble phantasm, Simurki Kremlin. Afterglow, abominable fortress of blood. It is the noble phantasm of Anastasia. It is it's the reproduction of the fortresses, the Kremlin or the Kreml, that are scattered all over Russia. Having inheriting the blood of emperors, czars, Anastasia can summon an extremely solid and magnificent fortress, employing it to defend herself. Furthermore, only those chosen by Anastasia can enter these castles. The entire fortress will swoop down on those not chosen intruders. It's not employed in Fate Grand Order. Since it is a fortress itself, its rank is at 8+, its range is at 1 to 99, and the maximum number of targets are 11 people and 1 animal. That's actually pretty funny. So yeah, she could basically summon fortresses and use her familiar's mystic eyes to basically eliminate people. How very disturbing. But when she's under the control of Kadak, she is shown to be slightly nicer underneath. She only acts distant due to her past and does not want her loved ones to be hurt again. But once someone gets to know her, she is friendly and mischievous and loves to play pranks. But she seems to call our characters, the player master, Mashu, and Da Vinci, or perhaps those who would oppose her or her master, as rats. Powerless living things that could do nothing but gnaw and multiply. Her belief of the world is that it is cruelly, terribly cold, and that those who consider the mild surroundings as cold should be shown a true hell. Although she is shown to have some sense of small sympathy, as she warned Goldorf Musk that he was going to get backstabbed and used by the enemies. However, she only follows orders as is. So, yeah, that's basically Anastasia, a character that is a servant that's summoned in the Lost Belt, but also shown to be a bit of a tragic character, as she dies in Kadak's arms at the end of that particular Lost Belt. And Kadak himself is the Cryptors themselves are interesting characters introduced in the second arc of Fate Grand Order. and I will get into Anastasia's master in another video that I'll be doing. So this has been Serpentine 451, finishing with another file on the servant of the index, and the next servant that I'll be talking about is an assassin. And I'm not sure who that assassin is going to be quite yet, but I'm sure it will be an interesting one. See you next time.